The Grappling Hour is brought to you by Luda Gear, athletic support items created by grapplers for grapplers. Fire Grub Meal Prep. Meal prep done right.
What is up, friends and family? We are coming to you live at 6:15 over on Best Coast time. It is your friend and your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Ralph Esparza. And here's the weird part about this one. So today we have a guy who used to do grappling, and it's weird because now he's trying to do this MMA thing, which makes me think, why do we bring him onto the show? And I guess sometimes it's to hold him accountable to yo, dog, are you trying to go somewhere else? Are you abandoning grappling? Are you figuring out what's going on with your hair? So I figured to get to the bottom of all these questions, we would bring on our good pal, Senor Garry Tonon. Garry, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just finished up teaching at my gym.
Good. And one of the things that we did on the sound check, or I guess the previous check, was you made sure to show me the hair before I would reference it. And I just thought, why do you feel the need to do that now? Is that to take away the ability for me to joke about it?
No, not particularly. I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I realized, this whole thing right here, this face, was never making me any money in the first place. So, I mean, what's a few dings and a couple holes? I don't really think it's going to make much of a difference. It ain't going to change much.
It really doesn't. You are essentially evolving into an animated version of the Croods, and it is nice to see, but I know we've talked about this on Verbal Tap a couple times, but you haven't explored hair replacement or wigs, or could you do the replacement therapy where you take some from the chin and then put it in this general region?
I don't even know how that works. I'm sure I could. I just haven't really even looked into it. I mean, alopecia is supposed to correct itself over the course of a year or so, and it has been pretty close to a year. So I don't know if it's not. I mean, if you look really close, we got 2 or 3 hairs growing there. I have about as many hairs in my bald spots as I do chest hairs. So that's not good.
Okay. I don't want to know because you're
4 hairs.
Okay. I just wondered because here's the nice part is you are actually in a place where you're dieting well. And to me, I always get really excited for you dieting well because it means that you're eating like you're supposed to be eating. And I guess the thing that I was wondering was you put up a photo of you recently, and I was like, yo, Gary's shredded right now. Good for him. And I don't know how much are you taking advantage of that opportunity. I would be taking photos every day during this opportunity just to be like, listen, this is going to go away in 2 weeks, guys. So do you guys want me to pose real quick? Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to take off the shirt real quick. Bring it in, everybody.
Yeah. I just involuntarily flex everywhere I go for the most part. I just strike Schwarzenegger poses whenever possible.
That's good.
But yeah, I should be taking more photos. You're right. Definitely need to do a new set of Tinder profile pics. Well, I'm really wasting these moments.
I just
have to crop out the hair like this.
Yeah.
So.
People would be like, "Ooh, got a real catch." Ooh. I'm gonna swipe the other way. That's the worst part about anybody making those kind of Tinder jokes is I'm always like, I don't know which way you're supposed to swipe. So I just want to, I'm always in that perpetual, I think you're supposed to go this way.
I think it's right. I'm pretty sure I'm a tapper. I don't really swipe. I just I just like every single person. Like, I just hit like repeatedly. Because here's the thing. Here's the whole thing about Tinder. Like, all right, you could take the time to look at each profile. Oh, yeah, I guess she's good looking enough, whatever. All right, but you're deciding from a crop of people that haven't chosen if they like you yet. So what's the point? You're just wishful thinking at that point. Why not like repeatedly as many times as you can? Then you'll find out who was interested in you. You know, like, they have to like back in order to match. Why would you bother making your decision now? Make your decision after you match. Then you're like, oh yeah, that resembles an elephant. Nope, not interested in that. Like, I don't know. It's not that hard. Why? I don't know. I think the first screening should just be like. There's no real necessity. I mean, if you see something that's just like, I don't know, something like a bridge troll or something, I guess you could click the X button. But I pretty much just turn away from my phone and repeatedly click my thumb down.
To be honest, I've seen one of my best friends when he was single. He like showed me. He's like, oh, when it first came out, he goes, dude, do you know how this works? And I was like, married, dude, don't know. And he just goes, hold on, I'm gonna show you how I do it. And I go, are you even trying to match up? He's like, dude, I'm just trying to get laid. I don't really care. I'm just boom, boom, boom.
There's that element as well, I suppose.
Yeah, and you know, for me, I was just like, more power to you, kid. Whatever helps you pay the bills is, I guess, the thing I'm saying. So you're on a media tour right now. You put this out to everybody, and I thought that was quite insulting. I was looking out at that, and I said, "What the fuck is this slut doing going around pouring it?"
MMA internet, if you will.
Yeah. Well, who else have you talked to? Who else have you gone on and talked with?
I've talked to a few people here and there. You know, I don't know if I want to name any names. Don't make you too jealous.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Doors show up at their houses, you know, smash their windows or slash their tires. I don't think we need. You are Hispanic, so your people have known to do that during breakup or, you know, cheating situations.
Okay, I don't know that it's that critical, one might say, but here's the reason why I'm so curious about that, because I look around. And, you know, you bring up this Tinder thing, and all I could think about is Garry just getting on somewhere, and, like, that's how he chooses who he's going to podcast with. Like, nah. Oh, yeah, I don't know who these guys are, but I'm in. I'm just saying, you know, have a little respect for those of us who have paved the way for you.
If I podcast with the wrong people, does it devalue me being on your show? Like, are you going to be, like, embarrassed? Like, oh, no, not them.
Kind of. Here's what happens. I get a general idea of whose show that you're going on, and then I listen to that show, and then two things happen. One, I listen as a producer, and one, I listen as a guy you know. And the guy that you know goes, oh, God, Garry, don't embarrass yourself. And the producer goes, how dare you embarrass yourself on a different show other than mine. You keep your facade up that you are a respectable and funny person elsewhere. But on this show, you come in like trash, and we will treat you as such. So, Garry, I have to ask a few things. Okay, so first and foremost, you have a match, or at least a fight that's coming up, and you seem to be scared of your opponent. You've said as much. When did the fear really start to instill in your heart?
Well, I was afraid of him before I knew he was my opponent. He was on the last card that I was on, and we're all warming up in the back, and the event starts. And, you know, I'm just doing a couple exercises here and there, and all of a sudden, you just hear like a loud smack, and then a roaring of the crowd, because you know there's a little bit of a delay between the video we watch in the locker room and like what actually, you know, occurs out there. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what happened. Like, the event felt like it started 10 seconds ago. Like, what could possibly have happened? I look up at the screen; they're already mid replay, and Anthony England's shin is just bouncing off of somebody's forehead as they fall lifeless to the floor. And I was like, oh man, really wouldn't want to fight that guy. And then sure enough, that's who I'm fighting. Like, when they mentioned his name, I was like, isn't that the guy? Kick to the head, and they're like, yeah, that's him. And then they're like, yeah, he also like guillotined somebody recently too. I'm like, well, that's not helping at all, but I guess.
That's cool. I mean, you know, we aim for different ways to promote your fights, and since One FC seems to be very much in the mold of, hey, dude, maybe you shouldn't be such a piece of shit as a human being, and talk copious amounts of trash to your partners, it is nice to see, there is a little bit of humility that I'm sure they're enjoying. So it's a different way of doing it. Having said that, though, are you finding yourself amused by the trash talk that's going on from just about everybody in the wake of your absence? Like, looking around at AJ and Dylan talking shit to each other, do you just kind of do this, like...
Yeah, I definitely think things have dropped off quite a bit as far as the quality of shit talking is concerned. I mean, Gordon keeps it strong, but I don't know. I feel like Gordon just kind of degenerates quickly to fuck everybody. Like, I'm the best, I'm the king, and it's just like it's the same thing over and over again. And I think he'd be a little bit more creative sometimes, but
you're saying that Gordon just... You think Gordon's like controlled, like all copies his way all the way over?
Yeah, I don't know. And then Dylan is just like I don't even know how to do his shtick. It's just, I guess you just say something like it's a vibe, straight up killer, gun emojis. Yeah. And that's pretty much every post. And then AJ writes poems, I think, or raps maybe, if you could call it that. And it's a weird world out there, man. Weird world.
I don't know if you got out at the best time or the worst time.
Yeah, maybe I got out before it crashed and burned.
Because, like, it feels like you bought low and sold high, and it's so weird that all of you guys are going to MMA, and yet no one's really talking, like, anything about you. It's just like, oh, Gary's over there, Asia, fighting those Asians, and it's like, he hasn't really fought an Asian yet, but sure. Just the one. And then on the meanwhile, we look over at Dylan just imploding, and then looking over at AJ, who wants a piece and is just like, oh, this seems interesting, I'll get in on this. So it's a very strange time to watch all of these things. I am curious, though, as you are watching Gordon proclaim himself king on a nightly basis, does it get a little bit like you want your DVD to come out soon? Because everybody's putting one out, and it always seems like... it almost seems like Nikki's going to put one out before you.
I would say overall, when it comes to stuff like that, I'm like the laziest one of the bunch. I teach the least number of seminars. I haven't put out the DVD yet. I do plan on putting out an Escape DVD sometime soon. I have to finish up with my fight, and then I'll come back and... I'm going to start filming for that, hopefully. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. I have my school to teach at, too, so I have, like, other added responsibilities. Gordon just kind of, like, rides his electric... Well, he doesn't ride anything now besides a wheelchair. I have this injury, but, before rides his electric bicycle around New York City, gallivanting around with Natalia, I guess, and his crazy dad, Big Gord. So his life is a little different than mine. So I kind of I run straight back from practice. I go teach. I go to sleep. I get up. I do it again. So I have a lot more limited time. But I'm going to make time to make the DVD for sure. I'm not really sure. I don't know if Nikki will make one before me. I hope not. But it is what it is. Whatever. It doesn't. It won't be any reflection on Nikki. It'll be me just wasting away, not getting stuff done.
That's fine. I mean, he's just going to continue picking up the slack where you left off, I'm sure. So that's the good news. And do you ever, like, look out at the Danaher Death Squad and just say, like, man, who's going to take my spot? Like, because now that you're fighting, for years, we always try to figure out the code, which is, okay, so there's a squad, and then there's a junior varsity squad. And if I was on y'all's team, I don't think I would make varsity. But I definitely would be the guy with the notepad being like, hey, just a quick question. What do I have to do to make varsity? Like, do I have to sell a whole bunch of, like, cards, like pizza cards, or win a raffle?
Sell Girl Scout cookies?
Exactly. I'd do it.
I don't know. I would just eat them all. But, I don't know. I don't think there is, like, a descript, like, one specific thing. I just think as you get into the more and more competitive shows, you'd be more considered like one of the higher level guys, and the more you show up to training, that's also an issue. Is like some of our other junior members like live in different countries and things too, that makes it a little bit more difficult for them to be in there as consistently. And consistently doing the tournaments that we used to do and stuff. Also, EBI like took a big hit. I feel like I don't really feel like they're really doing too many jiu-jitsu based EBIs anymore, or really many EBIs at all compared to what they used to be doing. They were cranking them out like crazy, which is what I think we were, very, very successful in, and was like really big as far as our branding, which kind of slowed us down to a degree too. So now, like, we basically have to look forward to ADCC, and there's a couple other like auxiliary tournaments and things too. Some of the other pro shows, but I mean, I don't know, man. I agree with you. There's definitely not like a list of things that you have to do, I guess, to become like, yeah, this is the varsity. Maybe it should be more to script.
Well, in high school, I definitely remember being like, all right, this is what makes you a junior varsity member, this is what makes you a varsity member. And it's one thing to say it like that at a high school level, but it's another when Danaher himself is like, oh yeah, we definitely have junior varsity members. And I'm like, well, then how the fuck does one become varsity, dude? So that's something for another podcast that I will.
Who's going to take my place? Mm-hmm. Hard to say. I mean,
do you get a say in it? Do you get to like look over? Because if we're being honest, it looks like Craig Jones is trying to like get himself in there and just be like, "Oh, mate, oh."
He's a big boy, though. He's a big boy. I don't know if that's my spot. That's kind of like Gordon's old spot. He's like around Gordon's old weight-ish. Well, not really. He's a little heavier, actually, like 200 pounds. You got to find somebody's got to be like 170. Fit that boy.
I don't know, man. I always look over at Craig Jones and I just see him there consistently, and it makes me wonder how much Danaher considers himself to be amused by Craig Jones, or if Craig Jones is his new muse. That he just looks at him and is like,
I think he's got a soft spot for the Australians, my friend. Mm-hmm. I definitely, coming from New Zealand and everything, for sure. Definitely does. I nothing against Craig. I think he's tough and everything, but I definitely think he takes a liking to it. I think that perhaps, like, maybe one day he'll just leave us and just coach the Australian guys. It could be in the works. Perhaps he's going to betray us all.
I'm just saying, because every time you read his posts, do yourself a solid. Count how many weird smiley emoji faces he makes at one direction of one Craig Jones, and there might be a science there.
Did that happen before or after Craig Jones put his butt cheeks in the photograph of the Vitascale?
I don't know, dude, but Craig Jones was definitely selling a whole lot more of those things after he started showing his crack.
Dude, I was impressed. What's funny is that when we did the promotion for Vitascale, they asked us to send them like a rough copy of like what we were gonna say and like the picture that we were gonna post. And I was like, Craig, like, because I didn't know. I obviously didn't know. I was like, Craig, like, did you do that for them, or did you just post? He's like, no, yeah, I sent it in. They approved it. I was like, wow, okay, that's even better. Like, I thought he just tried to pull one over on him and post whatever he wanted, which was cool. But the fact that that company actually was like, yeah, like, great, nice cheeks. And they just let it go. I was like, awesome. I'm going to get a little bit more creative on mine next time. Jeff Chu, my manager, was getting all like, uptight. He's like, I don't know if you should say it's a professional company, you should be appropriate. And I'm like, but they're contacting me for sponsorship. Like, really? Like, do you think that's what they want? Wouldn't they pick somebody else?
Yeah, at this point they should be at least somewhat familiar with you and what you do. I just feel like Jeff always looks like he's in the middle of a nervous breakdown. Like, he'll just be like, hey Jeff, how you doing? And he's just like, I'm good. How are you? And I'm just like, dog, relax. I just asked how your day's going. You're fine.
I love Jeff. He cares so much. That's all it is,
For the wrong people. Just looking at you guys and being like, he cares a lot, but for Gary. So, if that is the case, we look over at Craig, we look over at you, we get excited for you kids, doing your thing. What does the next couple weeks look like? Because you're supposed to be on a plane, I'm pretty sure, just real quick here, right?
Yeah, I'm leaving on Saturday, so I got to get my last few sparring sessions at Henzo's in, and then I'll leave on Saturday. We lose a day, takes like forever to get there. But honestly, this is the closest I'll ever travel because most of the travel is like 20 hours. And this will be a direct flight like 12, 13 hours or something like that to Japan. So it's honestly, it's not that bad. So, one cool thing about doing things this way with one championship is that, like, if I ever do fight locally, it'll seem like nothing. What's a flight to California to fight if, my normal schedule is fly 20 hours to, different Asian countries. So, and then as soon as we land, we'll probably, try to find some place to train. It's tough to find places to train with a cage in Asia, which is what I'm usually looking for. So I'm talking to Jeff about figuring that out right now.
That's good. That's good. And when that does happen, I mean, what are you doing the entire time on that plane? Because you have ADHD, and that makes me worry about you a lot, especially when you're in an enclosed section and there's not much changing for a long period of time. So how do you pass your time?
I try to wait until anybody gets up from their first class seats, and then I just quietly strangle them and take their spot. Stuff them in the bathroom and see how long I can sit in their seat. That's worked out for me in the past. I figure, if we're far enough across the ocean, they won't be able to turn back or land anywhere else. So probably what I'll be doing.
I get it. Trial by combat for seating.
By the way, speaking of which, do you know how much the first class seat costs on this plane?
No.
Because I asked, because I have like a bad neck when I fly, so I was like, I'm curious, what it would cost me. $20,000 for first class, bro. That's crazy. That's insane.
You're going to be the first fighter to have like a GoFundMe just to make your neck feel better.
Yeah, but no, that's not happening. I will be flying coach with the peasants.
Did they do one of these things? Did they Pretty Woman you, where they're just kind of like, it's $20,000. I don't think you'll be able to afford that. Judging by your hair and lack of replacement thereof, I'm just going to guess no.
We were actually thinking about booking you a ferry. Instead, that's more in your price range.
Yeah. You know what needs to happen, though? At a certain point, you need to be able to afford it, and then you need to get on that plane, find those same people who are judging you, and be like, big mistake. Big mistake. I'm a huge fighter now. Thank you, everybody. Also, can I get a receipt for that $20,000? Because I got to expense that shit, and no one's going to believe me.
Yes.
So let's see. The fight's on the, 31st or 30th? Because I don't know how this works with Asia travel. This is the thing. I want you to say this out loud now, because save yourself some grief. Let's just put this clip up when somebody asks you what time it is. Because I feel like one of the most unfair things they can do to a fighter is ask you, hey, Gary, what time are you fighting, Dick, on your fight week?
But not even what time am I fighting, because that I'm actually okay with. They'll be like, what time are you fighting in London? I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, you're going to make me Google your time zone and the time that I'm fighting and figure out what the time difference is. That's my job right now. That's what I'm supposed to do. And I'm supposed to do it for each person individually from each country that asks me. The craziest part is to me is you could take the same words that you posted in a comment to me, type it into Google, and the answer would come up immediately. It would take less time. It doesn't make any sense. I'm more reliable than Google? It doesn't make any sense. What are you doing?
So here's a nice example of that. Yesterday, the wife and I were celebrating an anniversary, and we put up a thing that was saying how the UFC is going to only be through Fight Pass or through ESPN Plus now. Yeah. And so if you want to order pay-per-views, you got to go through that. I just put it up and said, okay, I'm going to eat some food. I put my phone down and just go, I'm good. And instead I notice I'm getting notes from people being like, hey, Raph, what does that mean? Like, will I be able to order it on here? And what? I'm like, I read the article. I know as much as you do because I posted the article too. I didn't write the article. Like, let me just eat. And I remember being like, we recorded the show today, and I was just like, listen, assholes, there's this weird, strange thing that I do called a podcast where, like, I take all of your questions and I address them at least once, if not twice a week, sometimes on Facebook Live. So chill the fuck out.
Oh, people are incredible.
They are. So, okay. So you are fighting. So what time will you be generally fighting? Let's say East Coast time. I'll translate.
Yeah, if I had to guess that the event, I would probably be. I'm not going to be on the main card. There's just way too many killers on this card for sure. So I would say roughly 8 p.m. Japan time, which I think is roughly, not sure about with the daylight saving time that just happened, probably 11 or 12 hours from Eastern Standard Time. So for anybody where I live, I'm guessing that I'd be on at 8 a.m. On Sunday, whereas anybody that's on the West Coast, probably sometime around 6, either
5 or 6 a.m., right?
Yeah, 5 or 6 a.m., yeah.
Yeah, it's not happening. I'm going to catch the highlights the next morning.
Yeah.
I watched your first one live.
Oh, you know what? I think they might do a replay on TNT. I think I had heard somebody said they did that for the last one. So, at night, they'll probably do one on TNT. But I think you can just watch it on the app anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it on Twitter. It's not like it's a huge problem. The issue I have for you now that I'm going to maybe see if you can help out with a little bit. I like the partnership that they're doing with Turner. I think that's really good. I think it's going to only help you in the future, and having a broadcaster like that with a good marketing reach is good. Can we do something about Michael Chandler, though? Do you understand where I'm going here?
I may or may not know where you're going with this. I'd love to know. I'd love to have you elaborate, though.
Sure, of course. I have no issue here. I'm just saying, I get really excited when I see opportunities for athletes to be on major shows. And especially with the NBA, with a huge audience that it might have, and educating folks like Charles Barkley and Shaq. When you are the authority and you are calling a heel hook a toe hold, and I think everybody figures Michael Chandler's got a lot of MMA experience.
Well, wait, was that... Are you sure that wasn't Eddie Alvarez? Didn't Eddie Alvarez do that?
Michael. Oh, thank you. It is Eddie Alvarez. They all look the same.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I'm saying is, this is all you guys over on your 1FC. This is all throughout you guys that's happening.
Can I say something that makes it even worse?
Sure.
You are aware that he's actually lost a fight via heel hook by Shinya Aoki, right?
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
So not only did he, there's 3 problems I have with this mistake that was made. Okay, the first is, yes, you actually lost a fight by heel hook, so you should kind of know what a heel hook is. That's the first problem. Second problem is, he does train jiu-jitsu and grapple to some degree. So again, there's some background there. I know he's an MMA fighter, but he trains. So what's going on? And then, so how has nobody corrected him at some point for him to know that? And then third thing is the obvious nature of which the nomenclature for the move is used. You hook the heel with your wrist. Heel hook. You grab the toes with your toe hold. I can't claim responsibility for this. I don't want to be associated with this situation.
You don't, and Eddie, my apologies for calling you Michael Chandler. Oops. But here's the thing. I just feel like it's a really good way of showing what happens when you speak about something that you mistake. Except I had someone correct me on air, and you didn't have any, Shaq's not going to look at that and be like, yeah, it's definitely a good heel hook right there, my man. No one knows. And it's our few times that we ever make it on, that kind of television.
Now, everybody knows.
Now everybody
It's a toe. No, we actually may have to change the name of heel hooks because of that video, because astronomically more people that didn't know what it was beforehand saw it. So now at this current moment, considering the fact that more people that don't know jiu-jitsu watch that video than know jiu-jitsu and know what it's called, there are more people that think that's called a toe hold right now than think that it's a heel hook. How crazy is that?
Yeah. I mean, there's no beating that. I mean, we're all the idiots. Eddie's the true king now. So tell Danaher he's got to change his whole system. He's got to go back, re-record everything that was a heel hook, and start referring to it as now a toe hold, because that's what it is.
I'm gonna totally mess people up, and when I put out my DVD, I'm gonna call it a heel hold, and a toe hook.
I just always find it funny. I call everything a toe hold. I think that's gonna get a little more complicated, Vince. Vince is also like, I love how much Vince is trolling in both in favor and against you guys at any given point. So it is very funny to see one of your acquaintances still holding it strong out here on the West Coast.
Oh yeah, he's interesting. Like in some ways he's supportive, and then in other ways I'm like, Vince, you really say that?
Vince is like, he tries, and I feel like that's the thing that we both acknowledge about him. That's like, ooh, good for him. He's getting out there, and not a lot of substance, but he's really putting a lot to it. We had a question for you from Noberto Jr. Pisan Garcia, and it says, Gary, just a quick question. Has Nikki or any of the junior death squad submitted you during trainings? Okay.
First off, I'm still trying to comprehend what you said with his name. There was like 6 of them.
Roberto Jr. Pisan Garcia.
Alvarez Almeida the first.
Yo, that would automatically get you into a quarterfinal at Pans.
Facts. See you, buddy. So what I'm thinking is, yes, I've been submitted many times by all members of the squad, including junior members and including people who wouldn't even be considered junior members. I get submitted a lot. I scream tap a lot because I am not in the business of getting hurt when I am not fighting or competing. So I don't even really like to get hurt that much when I'm fighting or competing. So I'm certainly not going to do it when I'm not getting paid. So I put myself in a lot of bad situations. I take my risks in training. It's so strange to me, the mentality of people trying to just win all the time in training. Like, that's the time to experiment. Yeah. Like, I don't want to have to experiment in front of thousands of people and embarrass myself. Like, let's experiment now and get tapped. Who cares? Nobody's watching. I mean, that's not entirely true. John will frequently come in and be like, Garry Tonon, that was the most retarded double leg I've ever seen. It's literally a disgrace to all of grappling. He'll be like Kimura was rolling over in his grave after watching that terrible display.
I think Danaher has a writer. I think he has a team of comedy writers that film and do his thing. Like, that he comes in and is just like, gentlemen, I need more insults from Mr. Garry Tonon. And they're just kind of like, oh, well, have you done his hair? I've got 5 jokes. Gary, your hair is so whack. And he's just like, how whack is it? So,
did I tell you his Congress of Retards line?
Nope.
Okay. So one morning I walk over to John, and he doesn't look particularly happy, but I'm still like, I just say good morning as like a pleasantry. And John is like, he just turns to me. He doesn't even really turn to me. He just kind of looks out of the corner of his eye, and he goes, scoffs at me. And he goes, maybe good morning for sucking. And he doesn't, again, he's still not really making eye contact. And then he waves his hand across the gym floor at like a group of like 80 people. And he goes, look at this Congress of retards. I just to hear that collection of words about his students was probably one of my favorite memories.
That philosophy degree really, really paid off for John Danaher.
Oh yeah. He's using it the right.
Let me put a couple of these things out here. We had a couple other comments. Vince says, thank you. We had a question from Eric Robles. 5 Guys or the Habit Burger, and why?
I don't know the second. I've never been to the Habit Burger.
Never been to the Habit?
I don't know. No?
I feel like the obvious idiocy with In-N-Out, you would enjoy the Habit, because the Habit is the one where I recommend if people have like a really hard on for either 5 Guys or for In-N-Out and they're all fighting, I just go, shut up. Let's go to the fucking Habit.
What would be the specialty of that? What would you say sets them apart?
Just a regular double char. There's not anything I would say particularly like amazing about it. It's just you go there if you want a good burger. and
Okay.
it's solid. It gets the job done. And
Okay.
sometimes I'll be like, my wife will be on the way back, and she'll just be like, hey, what do you want for dinner? And I'll be like, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting the habit. I'll be like,
Okay.
I have no problems with this, but why ask me? Just show up
Well,
with a habit.
I don't think I can answer that question without trying the habit. So
We'll
I'm
arrange
big fan
that
of
when you
Five
get back out
Guys.
here.
There are better places than Five Guys for sure. So I have yet to try it, and when I do, I will let you know.
I love
I will
this.
be fair and honest judgment.
We have a fan that's literally wrong about everything, and he just said habit is way better than In-N-Out. And I love how consistently wrong he is about like
Well,
everything.
Do you think he's probably trolling then? If you think he's consistently
No,
wrong
because
about
he's not funny. At least with
Rob's
trolls,
like-
the best
Rob's
part about trolls
he's
is
just stupid.
the best part with trolls that I always find is like the reason why Gordon is good at trolling is because there's a psychology to it of trying to make the person go insane, right? So that's why like Buchecha is just like, you know, like what am I supposed to do with this? And then you see like somebody who just like they might feel like, ooh, Felipe Pena, and he's like, well, actually, I'm a huge fan of Felipe Pena. Everybody knows that because if you look at my 14 minutes with Felipe Pena over in December of 2015, I was the king, and therefore I am still king. And you're just like, I don't know how we arrived at that, but okay, sure, whatever you say, dude. We have a couple more questions. It says, Patrick Rousseau, boxers, briefs, or thong for weigh-in?
Well, I would wear a thong for the weigh-in, but I don't think one championship would approve, unfortunately. But one day, I promise, I'll do it.
For like a grappling weigh-in, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Because I feel like grappling, we kind of just go like, oh, there's Gary wearing his Muppet.
I'll meet him halfway, and we'll say banana hammock instead of thong.
There we go.
I think thong is a little aggressive. Just a little. It's a little farther than I'm ready for.
Thong
you
just
know,
makes me think
in
like
public, not in private. In private, you know, got to do what you got to do. But
thong just makes me think like, who doesn't love you, Gary? You're just missing some love right now. You need some attention. All right, last couple notes. We had somebody ask. I think it was. This is Luke Beston that says, I have a suggestion for Jerry.
oh boy, this
When
guy.
you walk out for your fight, all of your fans should shout, Jerry, Jerry, Jerry. And that would be hella funny because it's like the Jerry Springer show.
So my alter ego is Garry Tonon. I don't know if you're aware of that, but yeah, I think that's who he's talking about. I guess. But yeah.
Here's some good news. So the gentleman who asked you, that was Patrick, and he's the gentleman behind North South Jiu-Jitsu. So he said he would make a custom one for you.
Custom thong, is that what we're talking about still?
I believe so.
I mean, it's hard to turn that down if he's going to make me a custom one.
I'm sure I'll chat with him a little bit later about that one, but that went a direction I did not expect from that. I just thought, oh, there's a good product tie-in, so there we go. And then all of a sudden I was like, I'm
curious as to how he has the ability to make a custom thong, though.
Yo, but if I'm being real, though, they're sponsored.
I want him to hand sew it, though. He's got to do it. He's got to do this. I want him to be the seamstress.
I'm going to be very clear. Even though this is a different show, this is Grappling Hour. Verbal Tap, he is a sponsor of Verbal Tap. It's like bamboo that they make it out of. Dude, the quality of the North-South is mwah.
I don't know if I want a pair of bamboo. I don't know if I want a piece of bamboo to go through my parts.
I don't think you're listening as well, and I don't think they actually put a bamboo through you, but, to each their own.
It's abrasive.
Once you get used to it, though, it's just kind of like, it's just right there with your junk, and it just goes, all
it's
right,
like
you got this side, fellas, breathe.
Oh, man, that's funny.
Right, Gary, let's remind the people, let's do some shout-outs. Who, what, where, when, why on the fighting, and who is helping you get ready?
Yeah, so March 31st, Tokyo, Japan, as opposed to Tokyo, Idaho. And that will be a huge card for one championship. Super excited, fighting against Anthony Anglin. And then as far as who's helping me out, it's pretty much my coach is just John Danaher for the most part for mixed martial arts, grappling, everything. I will say, though, that I've been working a lot with a bunch of the different Muay Thai guys at Renzo Gracie Academy. Joe Semperi, runs that program. along with PJ. I'm not sure what PJ's last name is. Probably a combination of his first and last name, so who knows? And then Jamie as well. You know, those three have helped me out as well as Mark Marrero. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's been my main sparring partner, and well, for the Muay Thai portion anyway. And they've been really good sports because they let me, even though I call it like Muay Thai sparring, like I'm saying that because they do Muay Thai,
Sure.
but they let me mix in takedowns and stuff like that. I never really like to spar with no takedowns included because it's not really what I do. It doesn't really make sense to me. So, you know, they've been good sports about that. There's not a lot of like, you know, stand-up guys that don't train with grappling that usually let that kind of stuff happen. So they've been really good to help me out too. But yeah, those are the guys been helping me out. Sponsors, Muscle Farm, Chimera Coffee, Armbar Soap, Studio 540, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I'm like looking at myself, but I'm not wearing anything sponsored right now.
I was about to say, you're just like the kid who writes the stuff on his hand that's like, hold on, oh, my shirt.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one. Gary, we're always excited that you can make time for us. We look forward to...
One more shout out because I should, because they helped me get really skinny. Naked Chef Meal Prep, which I've yet to see any of these naked chefs in person. Any of them, they've been parading around half naked, slapping what I assume to be either baking powder, flour, or perhaps maybe whipped cream. I'm not really sure. In one of their videos, I'm very upset that I don't have anybody's phone number, or at the very least have been in close contact with any of these people. But I will say, as far as the food's concerned, they did a decent job.
First off, the food looks great. I do see you put up the food, and it does look very good. But second, are you sure it's not just like naked in terms of ingredients? I don't think that they cook them naked.
That's what they originally intended, but I feel like that's false advertising, and they need to begin, you know, I think they need to begin cooking naked more often. That's all I have to say.
See, out here in, I think it's in Vegas. They might also be in LA. They have like a giant truck, right, that goes around, and it's called Topless Maids. And the way it's functioned, it's like a weird truck where it's shaped up, and then it like has a little exit, and it looks like fembots are gonna come out who are naked, who are gonna like clean your house. And I always think like, okay, if a topless maid did show up at my house, you know, would I even be like, oh, hey, could you dust? I've suddenly forgot what I wanted you to do that cleans the house. And I'm sure it's just a
interesting. I wonder what goes on for sure. Like, do you invite your friends over and you're like, hey, somebody's gonna clean my house topless? Like, let's have a couple beers and hang out. Like, while she does that,
let's get together and we're all just gonna watch her clean topless.
Or do you just like have a dude who just asks like questions that he probably shouldn't be asking and starts conversation that's super awkward the entire time she's cleaning and just sits there by them. Like she's just there by herself with that guy. Like, I don't know, man. That seems like a terrible profession. Yes. Like way worse than strip. Like at that point, I feel like stripping is definitely a way better option. Like if my daughter was like, I'm going to be a topless maid or a stripper, I'd be like, stripper. Stripper seems safer. Definitely. Yeah, and you're going to make more money for sure. There's no way the topless maid's making more money than the stripper.
Don't challenge them.
I'm not basing it on any evidence. I just, you know, it's just the way that I'm thinking about it.
Maid being like, well, fuck you. Ugh, just watch me do this.
You get that hate mail from all the topless.
You know, dog, they might have the John Danaher of topless maids that like comes over and is like, I heard that foolish young boy's challenge. We'll show him. Let's drill our topless cleaning today, everybody.
If they take it as a challenge, I feel like this is going to be a win-win situation for me.
100%. And then we can get them to sponsor you. Guys, I want to say thank you very much to Garry Tonon. We wish you luck on March 31st over in Japan time. Maybe still March 30th, depending on your region of where you're watching from. I don't really know all that much information, but it looks like we will be watching here on the Best Coast time at approximately like 5 or 6 a.m. And for those of you on East Coast time, at least you get to wake up and have a functional morning and watch Garry at like 9 a.m. Before we let Garry go, I do want to say this. Garry, if you go on another show, you know that you're dead to me.
before you have the chance to really get home. I understand there's some travel involved. That's fine. I'm just saying, after you win, you need to contact me. I will be looking. I will be watching. And I will
Okay.
put it out there because nobody else is willing to say, like, yeah, I will fight to get Garry on the show. I will roll with. I'll hold my own against most of the podcasters. So yeah, well, that's the condition.
We still got to do the WWE grappling. So
Well, you know what's
I mean,
very funny about that, Garry? It's funny you mentioned that because I like that Scott's asking, "What's up with the patch of hair missing?" Scott, read a book. Okay.
dude, it's constantly. Like I've had it for like a year now. It's just never sold for these people. It's like somebody they either have to have just added me or they haven't seen a single thing that I've posted in 8 months.
The reason why, before we go to break and close out the show, we are celebrating the 5th year anniversary of WWE BJJ Week, which means that you guys, we will be taking solicitations from the audience members, and we have several sponsors, including Luda Gear, including Dodgy Collective, Fire Meal Grub Prep, who are going to be handing out prizes to the people who do the very best videos this year. And to celebrate that, we actually have a trailer here for it. I don't know if Gary's going to be able to see it, but I'll show it to him later. But this is celebrating 5 years of WWE BJJ. We are very excited. If you guys want more information, hit us up at Verbal Tap Cast. You can also hit me up at Grappling Hour at all major social media platforms. Without any further ado, my thanks to Garry Tonon. We appreciate you, and I hope you guys like this. We'll see you guys on the mats. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.